Hey, so good to see you right here on 5 Plus. Boy, we've got an incredible conversation today. We are diving into the world of all things trouts, joined today by Haley Robinson with Trout Unlimited. Haley, thank you so much for coming on 5 Plus. I want to know about what Trout Unlimited is, what it's all about, and how we can eventually plug in.
Yeah, Trout Unlimited is about conservation. We like to say we're about fly fishing, but that's at the core of it. We're about conservation. We want to leave something behind. We want to create an environment that encourages recreation. And if people are enjoying it, maybe they will teach somebody else. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll just hike around the area. But they'll keep the waters clean. They'll come back and they'll hopefully fly fish a little bit, because we do enjoy that. I learned to fly fish through Trout Unlimited. I had no idea how to do any of it. My parents, my grandparents were not super into fishing. We were farmers, and so I was very excited to learn a new skill, and I learned it through Trout Unlimited, and that's part of the reason I'm still part of it 7 years later, why I'm president now, and why I hope to continue being on the board for a long time. That's
awesome. So one of the ways you can get plugged in is the annual banquet. In fact, it sounds so similar to something I'm familiar with, Ducks Unlimited.
Yes.
It's all about ducks, all about conservation. We are centered around the banquets. Kind of sounds like it's very similar with Trout Unlimited. What is a typical banquet like? What's the experience? Why should I buy a ticket?
So we start with just silent auction. You walk in, you get a bidder card, and you get to peruse all the silent auction stuff. We try to create a good variety. So there's Pack Rat has always been a great donor for us.
They've been on the segment.
Oh, really? That's
yes,
great.
They have.
Uncle Sam's Outfitters. It's actually owned by one of my former students, which is cool.
Nice connection to have.
Yes, yeah, it's a nice little connection. Bass Pro donates stuff, and then a lot of our local fly guides like Brian Kick, Jay Fly, a lot of guys at the Beaver Dam store. They've always given us stuff and guide trips. I mean, they're incredible people, and they're one of the most knowledgeable about the White River, because they're right there by the dam. But all of those guys, all of these women that are involved in educating our youth that want to come out, whether they're part of Trout in the Classroom, whether they're guiding themselves. Emily Whitlock is going to be there.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of individuals that have a lot to say, that are much more knowledgeable on trout things than I am, but they're donating, they're showing up, we're having good conversation. It's just a fun night. And we end it with a silent auction, which is the biggest part of our night.
Yep.
We have a trip to South Africa this year. We have guide trips to the White, guide trips on Beaver Lake. We have all sorts of stuff. So even if you're not into fly fishing yet, there's great ways to learn how to do it. And there's also other types of trips that can contribute.
So there's also some really good food, I hear, too.
Yes.
Tell us about the menu this year.
Okay, so Spring Street Grill has always been our go-to, and they are doing prime rib again. We are going to have a vegetarian option and a fish option for those that don't want red meat. We have thought about you guys, but it's salad, breadsticks, the usual, just an incredible meal, and it's always good.
Now, typically this has been held on Fridays,
yes,
but this year a little different, huh?
Yes, so we've had complaints in the past that Fridays it's a little too difficult to get there,
sure,
especially for those of us that are working till 5 o'clock. To get there by 5:30 is just a push.
Right.
And the dress code's very low. We're not, I mean, this is fine. What you're wearing is even better. But I mean, it's at the town center. That doesn't mean it's fancy. It's
sure,
it's not your high school prom. It's just a place where we can hang out. So lots of fishing shirts, jeans, come as you are. Yeah.
So a lot of the funds raised at this annual banquet goes to support something that I am just obsessed with. Ever since you've told me about Trout Camp,
yes,
I knew I had to bring you on to learn more. Tell us about Trout Camp.
So in 2022, my husband and I went to a National Trout Unlimited meeting in Maine. And while we were there, we learned about Maine Trout Camp. So I didn't come up with the idea. I just sort of stole it from...
The best ideas are stolen.
So that's fair.
Best ideas.
I'm not reinventing any wheels. But we met some of the kids that went to the camp, and they were just telling us all this cool stuff they got to do. The only kicker was they were charging kids over $600 a person to go, and that just felt wrong. I work in public education, and I want to find a way to make things for kids free. I don't want to be a hindrance on a parent because a kid wants to have an experience. They should get to experience it. And those of us that care about conservation and about the future of fly fishing, or just the future of beaver tailwaters, we want to see that recreation, that aspect of it continue, so that it's there for us, for our kids, and I think the best way to do that is to open it up to our youth. And so I came back, I kicked it to our board, and they had even better ideas to improve it. And now we have guides coming to camp and teaching the kids every single day. Last year we introduced, fish cleaning.
Okay.
So that was interesting. That didn't go over quite as well with some of the kids. Some of the kids got really into it.
Sure.
But we started showing them fillets, different ways to fillet, the butterfly. And if you've ever butterflied a fillet trout or filleted trout, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So they have those teeny tiny little bones. It's miserable. But some of those kids were filleting better than I ever have.
Okay.
Yes. So if you want to learn about fly fishing, conservation, if you want to really get into our water and dive in for a whole week, Trout Camp is incredible, and it's free. So, and moms and dads, I'm very serious. It is free. We feed them. We give them a place to sleep. There's a pool. I mean, you can't go wrong.
I'm selfishly wondering if there's an age limit. How do I slip on into this thing? This is truly an immersive experience from literally casting the rod to actually cleaning it and worrying about I say worrying, but caring about the habitat and the area. This is really impressive work.
Thank you.
What's the point of it, though? It goes back to conservation.
Yeah.
So tell me what you hope these kids walk away with when they're done with that week of camp.
I hope we increase Trout Unlimited, not just Trout Unlimited. I mean, I have big love for Ducks Unlimited as well, all the other nonprofits associated with outdoor recreation. But education at its core should be like this. It should be free. It should be accessible. And I mean, fly fishing is notoriously expensive.
Yep.
And it's hard to get started. It's hard to find somebody to teach you. Well, we have close to 100 people in our our Trout Unlimited Northwest Arkansas that are willing to work with these kids, that are willing to teach them everything they've learned, tying flies, different ways to cast, all of those things. And I want to tap into that, and I want to create something that Arkansas becomes known for. We're known for the outdoors. We are the natural state, and we should be doing more. Every year is more. It's never going to be enough to increase the number of kids that are getting outside and enjoying the recreational opportunity we have.
I sometimes fear that the next generation might not understand and appreciate everything that is around us, that in this place that we call home, to the extent that I do. I mean, you just drive to work through the city and you're like, wow, there's a wetland. Wow, there's a nature preserve. Like, this is incredible. And things like this, I feel, really instill that love of nature and conservation. You don't have to be the biggest outdoors person to appreciate it, but it's these things that really opens the world of outdoors and conservation up to kids that may not otherwise see it. So there's a parent at home watching, and they're wondering, okay, that could be for my kid.
Yes.
What's the process for applying?
So we just have it's a Google Doc, very simple. Try to use something that anybody could use, whether you have a Gmail account or not. And you fill out the form, you submit it, and we will review them as a board and kind of select 14 kids we feel are deserving. We try to equalize it, but we've been a little low on getting girls to apply. So if there's any girls at home, I'm there. I'm a girl. So if you want to come and join me for a week, I guarantee you won't regret it. I will make it fun. But I mean, that's it. It's just that one application. No money, no credit cards, no nothing. Just show
go in
up.
there and apply.
Just go and apply.
What's that deadline? How soon do we need to get
The
these in?
deadline is March 15th.
Okay, so we don't have much time.
We don't, yes.
And what are the dates of the actual camp itself?
It's June 2nd through the 6th, I believe.
And it's where is it held? Where do you?
It's held at the Riverview Resort, and Tim Salmonson owns Riverview Resort. He's been helping us the last 3 years, and he's on site all the time, cooking meals with the kids. They let us use their kitchen and stuff to prepare everything. I mean, he's been great. And Riverview Resort is right there in Eureka Springs, so we can walk down to the river. We end up driving to Parker Bottoms and some of the access points that are typical, so that they have opportunity to see that, and so we can show people what we're doing. Like you get a shirt that says Trout Camp, has a little hood on it, UPF safe, and they get to wear those. We go out fishing. People ask what we're doing, and we're teaching kids how to fly fish. Game and Fish is there almost every day. Huge fan of Arkansas Game and Fish. I was actually 2024 Game and Fish Educator of the Year.
Congratulations.
And part of it was for Trout Camp.
That's
for
awesome.
creating an opportunity outside of the brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So.
Well, while you're here,
Yeah.
I want to ask about the brick and mortar.
Oh.
I didn't even know that competitive fishing in the school system was a thing until I talked to
Yes.
you. Tell us all about that world.
So that has nothing to do with Trout Unlimited or
But
fly
you're
fishing,
here.
but I'm here. Yes, I have the second largest fishing team in Arkansas. I was teaching for about 8 years. I was teaching advanced only,
Okay.
AP Biology, AP Environmental Science. That started out as my passion. I love science. I love creativity and curiosity and what that leads to, especially in teaching. Any science teacher watching understands that. Could never teach history or math. I don't know how they do that. But that's what started my journey in education. Well, when I got involved with Trout Unlimited, I got a trout tank in my classroom. We raise trout from eggs to adulthood.
Wow.
We have 13 schools now that Trout Unlimited does that with.
How neat.
And just in Northwest Arkansas, just in our little pocket. And I guess I just got bored teaching the regular stuff, and I got an opportunity at Lincoln High School. Stan Carber's my principal, opened up every kind of door that I could have possibly dreamed of and just kept saying yes, like, do you want to start a fishing team? Or can we start a fishing team? Is that cool? And he's like, yeah, sure, why not? And now I have 40 kids on the fishing team, and it's just exploded. But what that looks like is we have kids that go out on boats with volunteers, and they compete in an 8-hour tournament on lakes all over the state. And
Wow.
yeah, our next one is Greer's Ferry on March 9th.
Okay.
So not a lot of close lakes. We can't
Sure.
just go to Beaver every weekend.
Yep.
And
But
10
that's
killers
good.
in Oklahoma.
But that's good to really teach these kids how to adapt and fish different places.
Yes.
I often think, well, I'm really good at duck hunting one hole, but when I go somewhere else, I'm tested, I'm pushed, I've got to
Right.
learn to adapt, and that's good. I think it's not necessarily convenient, but
No, it's definitely
but there
not
are,
convenient.
But there are lessons that can be learned. That's awesome.
Sure.
You're gonna have to come back, and we're gonna have to talk about trout fishing in the school. That's a full segment in and of itself. One more time, give us that website for your chapter of Trout Unlimited.
It's just tu.org, and you search for
Okay.
for our chapter in there. It's Northwest Arkansas.
Fantastic.
Yes.
tu.org. March 1st is the banquet.
Yes.
Held there at the Town Center.
Yes.
Tickets also at that website. I'm going
Yes.
to post them on 5newsonline.com.
Awesome.
Haley, thank you so much for coming. That's going to do it for this edition of 5 Outdoors. We'll see you back here next week talking about all things hunting, fishing, biking, everything in between.